بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول المرسلين محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أجدد تأخيري لجميع الحضور الكرام من الأكاديميين والباحثين المحترمين في اليوم الثاني من الدورة المسمى بعنوان كيفية دراسة الأدب. في الأمس قامت دكتورة الدكتور انسام رياض المعروف شكرا في تقديم المحاور الأولى من هذه الدورة، واليوم تكملنا ما تبقى من محاور هذه الدورة. فلتتفضل مشكورا. تفضل الدكتورة انسام.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا بكم أعزائي الحضور مع الجزء الثاني من كيف تدرس الأدب. How to في المحاضرة السابقة على تعريف الأدب وعلى العناصر الأساسية في أي نص أدبي وعلى الاستراتيجيات المهمة في دراسة الأدب. وإن شاء الله اليوم راح نكمل المحاضرة في كيفية تناول الأدب حسب السياقات التاريخية والحضارية والاجتماعية، وكيف يمكن أن نتبنى نظريات معينة في دراسة الأدب مع أمثلة تطبيقية بإذن الله تعالى. So we will start with contextualizing literature. When we talk about contextualizing literature, we mean that we will involve in understanding the historical, cultural, and social factors that influence the creation and reception of literary works. Of course, this approach helps reader appreciate the complexities of the text and its significance with its original context and beyond the original context. So there are detailed exploration of how to contextualize literature, including certain, let's say, context. There is a historical context which refers to the time period in which literary works was written. So understanding the historical events, social conditions, as well as the political climate can provide insights into the themes and messages of the text. For example, when we come to the novel which is called 1984 by George Orwell, it was written in the aftermath of World War II and reflects the author's concerns about totalitarianism and the erosion of individual freedoms. So the historical context of the Cold War is there, and the rise of authoritarian regimes influence this text and way of writing it, because it influences always depiction of the dystopian society. It, let's say, portrays, whether it is explicitly or implicitly, the climate of the whole text. When we come to another aspect, which is cultural context of the text, is very important as well, because it includes the societal norms and values and beliefs which are adopted by the society. So it will shape the religion, race, gender, and class. We individualize in the early 90s, particularly for the family, for the society at that time, as well as the social status. We will talk about the cultural context, of course. So the time influences the characters' motivations and the noble scenes of love, class, and reputation. All these themes are there in the novel, and the author can't escape talking about the controlling the society at that time. So the author has a role in writing a text, as well as the reader reception of the text. So when we talk about authorship, we talk about the role of the author involves in understanding their background. When we read a text, we have to understanding the authors, about his life, about his background, education, intentions. This can provide insight into the creation of the text and the themes or the author tries to convey, or might have intended to convey. For example, when we talk about Virginia Woolf, for example, Mrs. Dalloway, it reflects her own experience and concerns about mental health, about gender roles, and about the impacts of the World War I on the society. All these atrocities have been suffered from Virginia Woolf, and tries her best to reflects them throughout her novels as well as short stories. So Woolf's personal experiences in this case and her feminist perspectives shape the narrative and themes of the novel, as well as other novels and short stories. On the other side, there is the reader's reception for the literary work. Reader reception refers to how different readers interpret or respond to the same text. I will read the text, you will read the text, but the result is different. Why? Because each one of us has his own background, has his own knowledge, has his own experiences. So this can vary based on the reader's own background, experience, and cultural context. For example, the reception of Great Gatsby as a novel by Fitzgerald has evolved over time. Initially, when it first, let's say, written, it was not widely acclaimed, but it later became a canonical work in American literature, as well as, of course, it has been studied throughout, let's say, years by many students all over the world. So it reflects changing attitudes towards American dream as well as the jazz age. So there is the author power of the authorship, and there is the reader reception, and both of them are very significant for a literary work. Let's say take a short story, which is the road not taken. The poem "Road Not Taken" by Robert Frost, which is stars as two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. When we come to this poem, we have to study the historical context. The time period in which, for example, it was written in 1916, during the World War I, a time significant to global upheaval and uncertainty. So it has a great influence because Foster's experiences as an immigrant to in England and his interaction with other poets influenced his works, of course, and his thoughts. The poem in this case reflects the themes of individualism and the choices one makes in life, of course, and the consequences of his choice. So there is a cultural context as well as the historical context. The cultural context means let's say, affects the theme of the poem. The poem explores themes of individualism, of choice, and the impacts of decisions on one's life. So these themes resonate with the cultural emphasis on personal freedom, as well as on self-determination in early 20th century America. Because it determines whether one is able to do something or not, and when he is able to do something and make his own choice, what are the consequences of these choices? So the poem has a great, let's say, amount of symbolism. The rose symbolizes, for example, life's choices and the consequences of the choices. The road less traveled represents the path of individuality, and none speakers, let's say, resemble to others around him. He is different. He has his own road, has his own choice, and he has to be courageous enough to take the ability of his choices. Here we will talk about the authorship. Authorship of Robert Frost, who is known for his introspective and philosophical poetry. Frost often explores themes of nature, of choice, and the human condition. His personal experiences and reflections on life decisions are evidence in the road not taken, as well as the reader reception. There is the authorship of the author, and there is the poem has been interpreted in various ways, from a celebration of individualism to a critique of romanticism. Readers here often find personal meaning in the poem, relating it to their own life choices and experiences. So it is very important to contextualize literature, because contextualizing literature involves examining cultural, historical, as well as social factors. Why? Because all of them shape in one way or another the text and its reception. Why? Because as we have talked about Great Gatsby, first of all, it was not well received by the audience and readers, but later on and nowadays it is well received because thoughts change over time, and the ideology of the people change. So what we refuse and reject before, we accept it now. So when we read a text, we have to put all these points in our mind. So by understanding all these points, the role of the author, the diverse interpretations of the readers, we can gain deeper interpretation of any text, and the complexities and the significance of these texts. This approach will not only enrich our understanding of the individual text, but also provides insight into a broader cultural and historical context in which they were created. We will understand the culture, we will understand the whole climate that surrounded the text written. This is about contextualizing literature in history and in culture and in society. Another point that is very important when you make a literary study is to choose literary theory. Why? Because literary theory, I always told my students that literary theory is just like a torch that lightening the way for us, because when you choose a theory, you are able to determine what you are going to search for. Because when you tackle certain theory, it means that you are searching for certain. Be with me in this journey to have a general look, in fact, and a very quick look on the literary theory in a very simple way. And we are here talking about those who are in an interest to know how to write about literature. So literary theories provide generally a framework for interpreting and analyzing literature, because each theory offers a unique lens through which to examine the text. It focuses on different aspects such as form, structure, social context, or cultural significance. So each theory has its own concepts. Understanding these theories can enhance your ability to critically engage with literature and uncover deeper meanings. So let's start with formalism. Formalism is the, let's say, simplest and the first of the theories that are tackled by students and researchers to analyze text, literary text. It focuses on literary works as an independent identity. So it emphasizes its formal elements such as structure, style, and language. Formalists believe that the meaning of the text is contained within the text itself and can be understood through close reading. So you have a text, you should read the text, and you should divide it to know the structure of the text. Then you will tackle the language, cover it. You will have a look on the synthesis, on the structure of the sentences, on the style and the language, figurative language used in writing a text. And what is interesting regarding formalism, that most of those who are going to analyze the text in using formalism will reach almost to the same conclusion. Why? Because the text has one structure and the text has one language and has one style. So they will reach to the same point. Key concepts regarding formalism is close reading, because you have to be so close to the text. You don't have anything, just the text, so you should focus on it. Analyzing the text in detail, so pay attention to literary devices, imageries, symbolism, metaphor use, and other devices, figurative figures of speech used in writing the text. Another thing is textual autonomy. The idea that the text exists independently of its author and historical context. Don't go to search about the author's background or life or the history of writing this text. Just stick yourself to the components of the text, which is language, style, and structure, form, and content of the text, and that's all regarding formalism. When we want to apply, we will focus on the text structure, language, and literary devices, and ask a question about how these elements contribute to the overall meaning and effects. That's all. For example, in the Westland, starting from the very title till the very end, till the visions of the poem, it focuses on poem's fragmented structure. Everything in the poem is fragmented. Its use of multiple voices, allusions, and how these elements create a sense of disintegration and despair, which is a central theme in the poem. So everything and each thing in the poem reflects the ultimate goal of the poem of the poet, who is T.S. Eliot. This is the, let's say, best example for formalism. Another theory which is very important is structuralism. Structuralism views literature as a system of signs and structures. So we are searching for these structures. It is influenced by the works of course, linguists Verdin and Issa. So structuralists in general analyze how texts create meaning through their underlying structure and codes. So each text has its own codes. These codes are created by certain structures, so we will follow the structures and codes. The most important concepts of structuralism are signified and signifier. The signifier is the word or the image, while the signified is the concept it represents. Another thing is binary oppositions, which are pairs of contrasting concepts that structure meaning, such as light, dark, male, female, and culture, nature. So when we want to apply structuralism on a text, we should identify the underlying structures of and codes in the text. So we should examine how these structures create meaning and how they reflect broader cultural systems. For example, in Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, structuralist researcher might analyze a binary opposition such as passion, reason, passion represented by Gina and reason represented by her lover, freedom and restraint, and how these oppositions shape the narrative and the character developments. We will follow them just to reach to the main theme and main message of the novel. So, generally speaking, the theory of structuralism search for the structure in general and for the codes which are underlined throughout the structure, and it is very important to follow them to reach to the final conclusion. Another important theory which is applicable on the, let's say, modernist as well as postmodernist texts is Marxism. Marxism, in fact, examines literature in the context of social and economic structures, not only on the social but on the economic, and it focuses on economy. So it focuses on issues of class, as well as sociology. So Marxists believe that literature reflects this and sometimes challenges the social economic conditions of its time. So it's either to just to show the economic system of the certain society, or it challenges the norms of economy in that society if it rejected. So it is very important. So when we come to study certain literary work from Marxist point of view, we should two main things. First of all is the class struggle, which is the conflict between different social classes, and the second thing is the ideology. The ideology means the beliefs and the values that support the dominant social order, where they are in the text, which behavior reflects this ideology. So to apply them, we should consider how the text reflects or critique, or one of them, or either to criticize or to reflect the social economic conditions. So we have to examine the roles of different classes and the power dynamic between them, how one class is above the other, and if there is any change throughout X is. So there is a power dynamic. For example, the graphs of force by Gene Steinbeck, which is a very interesting novel. In fact, Marxist analysis might focus on the struggles of Jowett family against the oppressive economic system, highlighting themes of class struggle and social injustice. And it is very important. And of course, there are many other concepts regarding Marxism, but in general, these are the main important concepts, but you can go in details in Marxism. For example, you have to follow objectification, which is another concept of Marxism. And there are many other, let's say, concepts. Another important theory is feminism. Feminism examines how literature reflects and perpetuates gender roles and inequalities. Feminist critics, generally speaking, focus on the representation of women, the portrayal of gender roles, and the ways in which literature can challenge patriarchal norms. So the problem of feminism is with the patriarchal system in the society, and how this patriarchal system, let's say, oppressed women So it creates certain gender rules which feminism advocates for breaking them. So key concepts in feminism is patriarchy and gender roles. These are two main, of course there are many other concepts in feminism, but these are the core of feminism. So patriarchy, which means a social system in which men hold the majority of power and authority, and gender roles, on the other hand, is the behaviors and activities and attributes to a society that society considers appropriate for men and women. Men should behave in this way and women behave in this way. This is according to the society, not to what they can and what they cannot. So men have certain roles, and women have certain roles determined by the society, not by themselves, not because they are able to do, but because the society wants them to do that. When we come to apply feminism, we should analyze how the text portrays gender roles and power dynamics, considering how the text challenges or reinforces patriarchal norms and the representation of women. There are certain things demanded by the women or by men to keep these norms and values of the patriarchal society. So, for example, in the yellow wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins-Gellman, a feminist analysis might focus on the protagonist's struggle against the oppressive patriarchal system, highlighting themes of mental health and gender inequality. So it is very important and very, let's say, vital theory that, generally speaking, tackled in many modern and postmodern texts, especially novels. Another important theory is post-colonialism. Post-colonialism refers, of course, and examines the impacts of colonialism on literature and on culture. It focuses on issues of identity and power dynamic and resistance. So post-colonial critics often explore how literature reflects and challenges colonial power structure and cultural dominance. The most important concepts in post-colonialism are colonialism and cultural identity, because when there is a colonialism, there will be a cultural identity. It means that the person will be affected by the rules and by the instructions of the colonizer and be colonized, and the colonized has certain traits and characteristics for his character and personality and behaviors, and all these are affected by the control and power of the colonizer. So colonialism, it means the practice of acquiring full or partial control over another country, so occupying it with settlers and exploiting it economically. And this is very important and reflected throughout literature, especially when we talk about Indian novels and about African and Caribbean literature. When another concept is the cultural identity. A cultural identity is the sense of belonging to a particular culture or group. So when any country is colonized by another country, the settlers or dwellers or the inhabitants, the origin settlers of this country will be affected by the cultural rituals, thoughts, language, everything by the colonizers. So what is the consequences of colonialism is, of course, reflected throughout the post-colonial literary text, and will be revealed throughout the literary analysis and literary studies. The application, when you want to apply post-colonialism on literary text, you should consider how the text reflects the experiences of the colonized people and the impact of colonialism on their identities and cultures. So you have to examine themes of resistance, if there is any resistance in the drawn in the novel or in the play or in the poem, and how this will shape the identity of these colonized people, and if there is any hybridity or not appeared in the novel. For example, Things Fall Apart, which is a novel by Chinua Achebe. It is a post-colonial analysis of it, might focus on the impacts of the British colonialism on Igbo people. So it will clarify the theme of, for example, cultural disruption or even the resistance appeared by the characters. So when you come to choose a theory, there are many theories. I have mentioned some of them, which I regard them as basic and very important ones. So when you come to choose a theory, you have to select a theory that fits the text you are going to analyze. You can't choose a theory without making alignments between the theory and the text, because you are going to search for the concepts of this theory inside the text and apply them. So after choosing a theory, you should identify key concepts. For example, I have mentioned 2 concepts for each theory, but you may find that these concepts are not applicable for or are not found in the text. So you should search for other concepts rather than those I have mentioned. So you search and understand the key concepts, and the question, you should put questions associated with the chosen theory. After choosing a theory, ask a question related to theory and try to answer them throughout your analysis. And then make a close reading for the text, and pay attention to specific elements that align with the theory, with the concept that you have chosen. For example, when you come to choose formalism, you have to search for the structure, how the structure reflects formalism and formalist concepts. When you come to choose, for example, feminism, you have to search for gender and gender rules and power dynamic inside the text, and so on. So in this way, you will be specific to your theory and to your literary text. And then analyze and interpret. Apply the theoretical concepts on the text. Examine how these concepts illuminate the text meaning and significance. Because when you apply them, you will find maybe other things rather than those reached by other researchers, and you will have your own contribution on literature. Then contextualize, which had been mentioned before, to consider the historical, the cultural, the social, and maybe political aspects and influences on the text and its reception from by the readers. Then synthesize your writing. Combine your analysis with the broader theoretical insights to develop comprehensive interpretation of the text, not only with the theory, but with general, let's say, generally reading of the whole word, how this reading might develop another reading from the whole word, how can it has the general meaning that relates to all the people in the society. So, generally speaking, understanding and applying literary theories can enhance your critical engagements with literature, because it provides deeper insight into the complexities of the text itself. not on the text only, but on the context of these written texts. So you explore, and by your exploration of these different theories, as I have mentioned, formalism, structuralism, post-colonialism or colonialism, feminism, and you may choose other literary theories such as eco-criticism or maybe postmodernism and modernist theory, romanticism. There are many, in fact, realism, surrealism, Dadaism, or naturalism or expressionism. There are many, in fact, theories, and still appearing nowadays many different theories. You can cover multiple layers of meaning by using these theories and appreciate the rich diversity of literatures. And this diversity may enhance your personality and your knowledge. So this, of course, after choosing literary theory, you have to write your essay, your paper, your article, your thesis. So you are going to write your own point of view regarding certain texts. So how to structure literary analysis, essay or article or paper? We should bear in our mind that a well-structured literary analysis essay typically includes certain steps or certain components, such as, for example, introduction. So in the introduction, you have to choose, first of all, a hook sentence. A hook sentence may be is a start of your introduction that will catch the attention of the reader, in order not to bored and leave reading your article. So choose, let's say, good sentence to engage opening or beginning of your essay, by putting a question, by just to capture the reader's attention. The second thing is the background information. Background information means the necessary context about the work. So you have to talk about the author, about the title, and the date of application to put the reader in the context of the literary works and the theoretical framework of your paper or your essay. Then you have to choose a thesis statement. So you should state your main argument or claim about the text, what you are going to say, what you are talking about. Then you have to talk about your body paragraph. Body paragraphs means that you have to start in the body paragraph about your topic sentence. Begin each paragraph with a clear topic sentence in order to catch the attention of the reader. Introduce your main ideas and points in the paragraph, and after giving them this topic sentence, you have to give evidences about what you are going to say. Why? Because when you say that this is so and so, you have to say why and how. So you have to give quotes, examples, and details that support your topic sentence. Then start your analysis. Explain how the evidences support your thesis, and provide interpretation, comments on what you have borrowed or quotes, and give your analysis with evidences. Then try to from one paragraph to another very smoothly and very connectedly, in order to connect the ideas of the readers with you, not to jump from one paragraph to another. Why? Because jumping is not good. Then after all of that, you have to put a good conclusion. So restate thesis, summarize your main argument, reinforce your significance, the significance of your writing, then summarize the main points just as a matter of reviewing what you have said before, and then put final thoughts, offer final reflection or insight about the text, its themes, broader implications, border explanations, and after that develop strong thesis statement. Because strong thesis statement is essential for successful literary analysis. If you want to write an article or essay or paper. And it should be clear and specific, and should be debatable, not absolute, because when you put an absolute sentence, you can't debate it or discuss it. And it should be focused. For example, let me give you an example of a weak thesis statement. For example, Shakespeare's Hamlet is a play about revenge. Everybody knows that Shakespeare's Hamlet is a revenge it's a play about revenge, right? So there is no attraction in this sentence, in this title, in this statement, and there is no specificity in this statement. You should be specific, you should be direct, you should be clear and concise, you should have certain points in your statement. For example, when you say, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, the theme of revenge is explored through the protagonist's internal conflict and moral dilemmas, ultimately questioning the nature of justice and retribution. So you are focusing on what? On the play, on the theme of revenge, on the protagonist's internal conflicts, and on the moral dilemmas, as well as the questions of the nature of justice and the retribution in the play. So the reader will be encouraged to continue reading your article till the very end. After that, you have to support your arguments with textual evidences, and this happens by giving relevant evidences, by choosing quotes, by giving examples, details from the text which are quoted directly or indirectly from the novels, poems, or dramas, plays. So you should ensure that the evidence are relevant to your theory, to your suggestions or opinions, so the reader will be attracted and will continue reading your thesis. Then integrate evidence smoothly, because when you use single phrases to introduce quotes or evidences, you catch the attention of the reader. So you have to say, according to the author, so and so gives the evidence. This one claims that using this short introduction to your evidence are very important. Then provide your interpretation. Don't give a quotation without any comment or without any interpretation, as if you know something and the reader has to know everything about your article. No, the reader will read your essay or article or your paper to understand. So make it clear for the readers that you are in master, in control of your reading. Interpret everything and make everything clear for. So never assume that the reader understand the connection. Make it explicit enough for him. Of course, as possible, as clear as possible. This is very important. For example, when we come to the poem we have mentioned before, the road not taken, Robert Frost uses a metaphor of roads to explore the theme of individualism and the impact of choices on lives and lifestyle and the consequences of these choices. So when we say that in the road not taken, forthright, two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. These lines, or this imagery, these lines show the imagery of diverging roads, symbolizes the choices we face in life. We always have two choices, and we have to make our choices, and we should be strong enough to bear the consequences of our choices. So the speaker has his own decision, and he make it to take one less traveled by. This, of course, reflects the desire for individuality and non-conformity. I'm not like others, I am different. This choice, as the poem suggests, has made all the difference. Then he will choose, and everything will be different after his choice. This highlighting the profound impacts of personal decisions, not only for him, but for others around him. So through this metaphor, Proust underscores the theme of individualism and the significance of the choices one may make in his life. And this is very important, in fact. I wish that everything is clear, and if there is any question, I'm ready to answer. I try my best to simplify the way of studying literature. Studying literature is very interesting and of a great value, not only for understanding literature, but to enhance our personalities, our experience in life. Why? Because reading a book means to add great experiences of many persons inside the text to ours. So I wish that everybody who is going to read a literary text will examine the text fully according to certain objectives in his mind, in order to understand the text in a very useful way, not as a student, not as a researcher, but as a person who tackle a literary text and add lives for his life. Wish you all the best of life and of luck, and if there is any question, I'm ready to answer. Thank you so much. We reached the end of our lecture.
جزيل الشكر على دكتور انسام، بارك الله فيك في تقديم هذه الدورة. أشكرك جزيل الشكر على الامتنان على هذا الجهد المبذول في تقديم هذه الدورة. جزاك الله خير.
شكرا جزيلا أستاذ محمد لجهودكم المبذولة.
بارك الله فيك.
لو في أي سؤال أنا حاضرة للإجابة.
بارك الله فيك. أصدقاء الحضور الكرام، بالإمكان كتابة أسئلتكم واستفساراتكم أو ردها بشكل خاص. دكتورة انسام، ننتظر المشاركين دقيقتين.
نعم. Paper, of course, it's unlimited. It is related to the ability of the researcher to answer the questions regarding this concept. This is first of all. The second matter is related to the text, literary text itself, because literary texts are written according to certain ideology of the writer. So whether these concepts chosen by the researcher from literary theory are applicable and there are in the literary text, they will be a chance to apply them throughout the analysis. So first of all, you have to make a close reading for the text, literary text, whether it is novel, drama, or poem. Then you will have certain concepts in your mind. Throughout your close reading, you will find whether these concepts are applicable or not. So you can choose one concept, two concepts, three concepts, and whatever you want, 3, 4, as you like, never mind. And of course, you have to limit yourself to the amount of papers number of papers required by the journal that you are going to publish. If it is a paper, if it is a thesis, the matter is different because you will have more chance to choose more concepts regarding writing your analysis. So it depends on many points, in fact, not on one point. Thank you. If there is any question, other question?
تكريت يجوز بها المبذول لتقديم هذه الدورة المحكمة على مدار يومين بعنوان كيفية دراسة الادب. كما أشكر جميع الحضور الكرام لحضورهم. نشاطات مركز التعليم المستمر. نلتقانا في انشطة أخرى في قادم الأيام إن شاء الله تعالى، واستودعكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا جزيلا.